recording as a backup.
Thank
And
you.
I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Wendy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Thank you for joining Sanitation and Environment Protection Committee. The time is now 7:02, and we will start our committee meeting. My name is Wendy Hewlett-Betts, and I am a committee member.
Juna Campbell, a committee member.
Yes.
David Kowalik, community board member.
And we have a special guest tonight. Introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. Stephen Caruso, Superintendent of Department of Sanitation's Bureau of Community Affairs.
And we have anyone online? Please introduce yourself.
If you don't mind.
Dear Taylor, community board member. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening and welcome. So we are going to follow our agenda. So we did our introductions. We're going to save the selection for committee chair for after the gallery session. There are no minutes to review at this time, so we're going to table that. And so we're going to start with our special guest from DSNY, Mr. Caruso, right?
Yes, Mr. Carew.
Okay. All right. So I'm here tonight to announce some new initiatives that we're going to be rolling out with very shortly. That's going to be residential containerization requirement for buildings with 1 to 9 units, curbside composting coming to the Bronx this month, and also an increase in commercial fines for repeat offenders. So if it's okay with everybody, I would like to start with the increase in fines, just because that one is going to be cut and dry. We can get through it pretty quickly. Then I will work my way into curbside composting, and then I will end with the main event, which is our residential containerization.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and just so you know, I have brought flyers for all 3 of the announcements that I'm going to make, so you can hand them out to any of your members or constituents. And I also have composting decals too, which we'll get into that shortly. Okay, so effective December 19th of this year, commercial violations will increase for repeat offenders. All right, so this is just commercial fines.
When? From when?
December 19th, this is going to start.
December 19th.
Yep. Commercial fines will increase for repeat offenders. This is not residential, okay? And it's going to be specific to cleaning summonses. So that's going to be not cleaning your sidewalk or your area or 18 inches out into the street.
Okay.
All right, the first fine is going to remain the same as it is now.
What is it?
So as of right now, it's, I believe, $50 for the first fine. Okay, but then the second fine is going to increase from $100 to $300.
Wow.
And the third fine is going to increase to $500.
Okay.
All right. Offenses are going to be within a rolling year. So if you got a violation today, this would be the beginning of your rolling year.
So this is not for residential, for commercial.
Commercial only.
Start December 19th.
December 19th, correct.
Okay.
So I just have a question. I'm just thinking about, commercial store owners. I'm thinking about busy areas like Mars
you.
Park, White Plains Road, right? And I know, like, when my parents owned some stores, but this was way back, the biggest issue is your neighbor,
Mhm.
right? Is, you being responsible somewhat for your neighbor,
Yes.
right? If you have, and the neighbor not cleaning, and then you get hit with the fine.
Mhm.
So how were you able to work around that, or it's just whatever happens happens?
So and this is pretty much across the board, whether it be
Right.
commercial or residential, regardless of what type of violation it is. Officers and enforcement agents write what they observe. So if they come out to the property and they see litter in front of your business, they
You're
can't
getting-
tell where it came from, but it's your responsibility as a
To
business owner to clean it. So that's why you would be the one to get the violation.
Okay.
And like we say all the time, we know that it's not the people that live there or work there that are like throwing
Right.
litter in front. We know it's coming from another place, but as property owners and business owners.
So,
Yeah, like when I'm working at my friend's print shop,
Mhm.
I sweep outside his shop
Mhm.
and then I'm heading down towards, because there's a couple of abandoned stores and stores that are only open on Friday or Saturday. He's like, why are you going down there? I was like, because you're downhill from there.
Yeah, it's
So
all
the
gonna
breeze
end up,
going to
yeah.
go right down.
Yeah.
there.
Does this incorporate snow removal as well?
No, so it's just gonna be cleaning. So
Just for cleaning?
yes,
okay.
dirty sidewalk, dirty area.
And
inches into the-
How far out in the street?
Well, it's
The sidewalk,
So,
like,
18
so
inches.
it's 18 inches, yeah, that rule's not changing. That's been, a rule. And that amount of space between the curb and the street or out into the street is not changing.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow. That's hefty. I guess the thought process is $50, maybe you'll learn your lesson not to do it again. $300, you should have learned your lesson not to do it again. $500, you better see
Thank you.
somebody.
And you know,
Yeah,
there's-
that's
some businesses, for them, it's the cost of doing business. They'd rather, pay a fine than hire somebody to
Right.
clean or go out there and
Right.
clean. So if the fines have increased, then they're gonna take more responsibility and do the right thing.
So with the increase in fines is sanitation gonna put back more garbage bins on the street, on the corner?
So, we're always taking requests for new locations.
Right.
Thing is with little baskets, and we go down a rabbit hole with this, is little baskets, it's like a double-edged sword, because if they're doing their job,
Right.
they're actually attracting litter. And sometimes that leads to abuse, so that leads to like household or commercial garbage ending up in the basket, and then it's more of a nuisance and does more harm than good. So baskets only get placed in commercial corridors with high pedestrian traffic. They don't get placed in residential or industrial or more desolate areas. So if you find that maybe there was a basket on location at one point, it's no longer there, most
Right.
likely it was because it was being abused. And when that happens, we remove it. And then over time, it actually improves the condition and it gets cleaner. But if there are any specific locations that you have in mind that you would like to see a basket, you could always submit a 311 request for it. Contact me, we'll submit the request, we'll take a look at it, and I'll let you know if we can or if we can't, and why it may have been denied, or if we could get it approved, then great.
let me ask you a question,
Mhm.
because you only put it here for, this year said for attention business owners
Mhm.
about the cleaning.
Yep.
I haven't seen where put for property owners.
So business owners have already been required to containerize their trash. Beginning at the beginning of this year, we required all businesses to have containers.
When residential, when,
So that I'm gonna get into if you want me to skip over
Your
the,
business started back in March.
correct, yeah. So back in March, businesses were required to containerize their trash.
Mhm.
on
And now-
the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, they've always been required. to do
Okay,
that.
okay,
But now this November is when we're requiring residents in certain size buildings to containerize their garbage.
okay,
Mhm.
all right, that's good enough.
Okay. All right, is it okay if I go into the
Yeah.
composting now, or do you want me to skip
Do you
to?
have a little piece?
Yes, they're right.
Yeah, right here.
I'll take some.
Okay, so, very exciting stuff. Curbside composting is coming to the Bronx. We rolled out in Brooklyn and Queens, over the past year and a half. Now we're expanding into Staten Island, the Bronx, and Manhattan. So that starts October 6th. So by next week, we're going live with this. We've made it real simple, easy to participate in. This is probably the easiest rollout that we've ever had when it comes to composting. You're gonna set it out separately as you would any other commodity, whether it be metal, glass, and plastic or paper. And you have multiple options for doing that. You can either order a brown bin,
For free.
which is free. Which you don't even have to use the brown bin. You could use any bin of your choice as long as it's 55 gallons or less with a tight fitting lid
Mhm.
and one of those decals on it.
So we had started this, last year you said, right? Because I remember getting the brown bin
It's
a few years ago, pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
It was, not to cut you off,
No, no.
some areas had it during the pilot.
Yeah, we had it and we were using it because they gave you the bucket that you keep in the house and
Yep,
then,
kitchen bin.
and then they gave you the brown can.
Mhm.
They would collect it and then all of a sudden they stopped.
So during COVID,
Okay,
we had paused the program.
okay.
And now, since the new administration came in, we rolled out a little bit differently than we have in the past. So now it's curbside collection for everybody.
For
It's
everyone.
no longer just
Okay,
certain
so-
areas or
right.
having to sign up for it. It's just-
Okay, because that's what I last saw, that if you want it, you had to call and sign up on it. So
Yes.
now it's universal.
Right,
Okay, that makes it so much better.
everybody is gonna participate in it. It's
Okay,
as simple as can be.
and this will start.
It's gonna start October 6th. All right, so we have multiple options. Either you set it out in the brown bin, you set it out in a 55-gallon bin
Or
or
to the
less.
compost?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, but now there's a couple things that we should know about this. First of all, food scraps are required to go in a bin. So that means that if you're putting food scraps in it, either in the brown bin or your own bin, it has to be in a bin. But yard waste and leaves, that could go in a clear bag. If you so
Okay.
choose to put it in a bag, you could do that.
Okay.
That's fine. Leaves, yard waste, that doesn't have to necessarily go in the bin, that could be out in a clear bag. But keep in mind, if you're putting any bag out on the street, it has to be after 8 o'clock PM.
Right.
So bins could go out as early as 6, right? We made that rule a little bit earlier in the year. Bins could go out as early as 6, bags can go out after 8.
What happens? I don't know, like, say me. Usually, if I'm in a house.
Mhm.
I'm in bed by 8. Cause I gotta wake up at 4. What happens, somebody that has to get up early and can't wait till 8 to put the garbage out?
Bins, that's the only other option. But we're gonna be required to use bins anyway come November. So at that point, it's just a matter of if you want to have an extra bin for all of your organic waste, then you,
So come November, you could put the bin out anytime.
as early as 6,
Okay.
6 o'clock.
And this would be during our normal garbage pickup that we're able to put the brown bins on, or only on Fridays?
Good question. It's gonna be on your recycling day. So we'll
Okay.
collect once a week. Organics will get collected once a week on your recycling day. So you put it out with your metal, glass, and plastic and paper. You put it,
Okay, so now, yeah, you said plastic.
Clear plastic.
Wait, clear plastic.
Yeah. Clear bags.
So you're putting organic, something that's to be recycled.
Mhm.
But the plastic is not recyclable.
so the compost, you're right, could go in a bag. In the past, we didn't have the ability to separate the bag from the compost, but now we do. So we have new equipment and it could actually remove the compostable material from the bag and the bags are discarded separately.
Ah,
So,
So
yeah, we're trying to make it as,
they need to be clear to say, don't put the compost directly in the brown bin. You put it in a
Well,
plastic.
so
bin.
you-
Some people
there-
you
you
never
could
know.
you could put it straight in the bin.
there are options for it.
They're just
So
gonna get your bin all disgusting.
you could either put the food scraps directly into the bin, which I don't recommend, but
Right.
if you so choose to do so, you could do so, or you could put a liner in there.
Yeah.
And put the scraps into the liner, and if you have a liner, we'll just dump the pail and we'll leave the liner in there. Or what you could do is you could leave your liner in, dump it every day, and then, you could tie the bag up right before collection day and we'll just grab the whole bag right out. Or another option, which I'm personally probably going to do, is you could put a liner in the bin and then smaller bags every day. So
Right.
you could take, you could put them in biodegradable bags, you could put them in
Yeah.
paper bags, you could put them in any bag and then put the smaller bags into the bigger bag in the can.
Anyway, Mr. Cummings,
Mm-hmm.
they tried with that brown container
Mhm.
to put out like meat scraps and things in it.
Mhm.
What happened the day they said to put it out, sometime the truck, they don't come and pick it up. I know what happened, the amount of maggots. A lot of people usually do it, but it creates so much maggots that if I put it out, what I have to do, I have to throw bleach in it, that I don't get maggots. But a lot of people, when they look and pass and see that bin, all the maggots, they crawling out. I mean, it's not fair for the guys that who do garbage to handle that.
But I think, Junior, at that time, because it was a pilot program, and I think part of it was the process of the program wasn't really explained
You
to
remember the time?
homeowners. I remember that it wasn't really explained to homeowners in completely. And that's why us as sanitation, the committee, I'm just thinking how to get the word out, especially helping seniors, right? Because now it's a cost, right? A cost to get the liners, even though now we don't have to get it exclusive, because I think when they did the pilot program, you can only get exclusive one place, and now you can actually, Glad is making them, right? So you can get them anywhere, and like you said, you can use a bag,
Right.
you can make your own liner.
But
Yeah,
when
we just
you-
want to make it as easy as possible.
But I think now, because it's universal and it's gonna be across the board, sanitation is gonna pick it up.
but what I'm saying,
Mhm.
in summer when the weather is very hot,
Right.
Summer's gonna be nasty.
it's going to,
Winter-
you're going to have a lot of maggots with those meat, bones and something, you put it out there. And if sanitation don't pick it up that day, you come the other day, you know what going to happen.
Yeah,
You know, again, just kind of piggyback off of what Wendy had said, this program is now across the entire city. So it's not just in any particular district, and you're gonna be serviced on your recycling day. If you don't get serviced, you can place a 311 complaint for missed collection. If there's gonna be any day that we're not gonna collect on, let's just say a holiday, we'll let you know. We always send out the email blasts. One thing that you could do, and this is something that's recommended to folks, if you're not producing that much material, is you can store it in little bins in your freezer until the night
Yeah.
before collection, and then throw it out. Some people do that. So
Can there be fair?
No, but also like, okay, you got a holiday, you got a holiday.
Mhm.
Say my collection, my recycle day is
And it fall
Monday.
on-
yes,
What's next in 2 Mondays? What's in 2 Mondays? Columbus Day. Collection will be suspended.
Yeah, so what happened to that?
Right, so-
But now you're asking somebody to wait 2 weeks with their maggot
Yeah,
infested
that's
stuff.
what going to happen.
so
It's one thing if you're waiting 2 weeks with your
Garbage,
paper
yes.
or your tin cans and stuff, but now you're waiting with your maggots for 2 weeks.
so
With your meat, with
before
this,
we get
with that.
upset about that, what we've been doing is we've been collecting on a lot of holidays. I don't necessarily know that those are going to be the rules for composting.
right.
So let me get clarity on that.
Well, I was just using
Yeah.
Columbus as the
No,
next.
but that's a good
Example.
question. That's a good question, because you're right. On recycling days, when holidays fall back to back, you hold it on to it for 2 weeks, right? But let me find out about that.
Yeah,
Because-
like Christmas and New Year's, they're exactly a week apart, so
Right, the metal
That's-
plastic,
that's-
plastic.
that,
cake was
that,
different.
you'll be holding your maggots for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
The only good thing is, it's gonna be like 32 degrees outside.
Well, that's, it's not too bad.
You
yeah.
won't have many maggots.
But in the summer, that's what I'm curious about in summer. What will happen in summer?
Okay.
I'm going to give some of my neighbors these. Let them know.
I was also reading an article. It was written by somebody in Staten Island.
Okay,
And they're saying, because I know we got, this is New York City, we got pizza boxes.
Mhm.
So now they're saying you can't put the pizza box in the recycle?
no, that's not true. That's not true. So what you can do is
I
if
put
you
them in
look
clear
at
bags.
if you look at the
Right.
composting decal, it'll have a pizza box. If you look at our green decal, it's also gonna have a pizza box. So if the box is soiled and there's a ton of grease on it and cheese and whatever, put it in a composting. If the box is in good shape and the cardboard doesn't seem to be all that soiled and it's in good
Put
shape,
it in
then put it with the
Recycle,
Yeah,
yeah.
put it out with the paper.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what I usually do, Mr. Caruso,
Mhm.
if I have boxes,
Mhm.
what I do, clear bags, what I do, I tape them up, put them in the clear bags, and tie up the bag and put it out.
So you don't even necessarily have to do that with cardboard. With cardboard, you can just break it down and then bundle it together with twine, and you don't even have to put it in a bag, and we'll service it just like that. But if you
Okay.
want to put it in a bag.
No, I just put it in there because sometimes
If it rains, it's a little
That's
heavier.
even so. Sometimes you have maybe cats, they come and they tear the boxes them
Right.
up. So I put them in that clear bag, tie it, and put it out. It's easier for the garbage man
Yeah, we
to
appreciate
figure that.
Yeah, thank you.
I try to work with them. If I'm home and the garbage guy, they come around and I'm there. By the time they stop one door for me to pick up, I put up mine in the street already.
Mhm.
And if they need hand, I give them a hand and dump it in the truck.
Yeah.
That's
every-
me.
every-
A lot of people don't do it.
Right.
That's their job. No, I don't look at it that way. No,
No, it seemed to be very
No.
considerate, so we thank you for.
no, I don't.
So now regarding the container, is that all for the compost?
There's just a couple of
Okay.
things that,
Where
Is
get
this
these
from the
containers to buy?
Or potatoes?
These containers,
um,
where you buy
I'm
them
not sure.
from?
probably eggshells.
Which one?
So you can just put
And he's gonna tell us.
eggshells.
Oh, yeah,
in the car.
eggshells right there. Yep. Okay.
And also the potatoes, so it,
Yeah, either way, you'll be fine. Bones too, you put bones in there. All right, so we spoke about when you're supposed to be setting it out. We spoke
Yes.
about how you're supposed to be setting it out. This is applicable to all residents. So there's no limitation on building size for this. This is everybody, this applies to everybody,
So even like say Co-op City, they're gonna be composting?
everybody.
So I'm assuming that the larger developments will have multiple brown bins or larger brown bins.
Yeah, so they're gonna be responsible for their own site waste management, so they're gonna
Okay.
have to separate it, however they do it, they're gonna have
Okay.
to figure out how they're gonna separate
Okay.
their food scraps and their organic waste from the rest of the waste stream. And yes, they're gonna be putting it out in bins, unless if they have like row service and containers, then
Gotcha.
that's
Okay.
a whole other
Railroad service?
row containers.
Oh.
Service, containerized.
Look here, Mr. Caruso.
Mhm.
What it said they should order by
Mhm.
October 1.
Right,
We just.
To ensure the delivery.
but yes, but here's the thing. You don't need this particular bin until June 2026.
Okay, but you can still order it.
You can still order it, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we'll get it for, by the time it go into effect, by November 12th.
You're supposed to receive it by that date, yes.
If we
If
order,
today.
if we order it this week,
If it's ordered by today, you should expect to receive it by the
we
12th
order it online.
of November.
Well,
Okay.
he's gonna tell us that.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right,
Once he
okay.
Okay, don't jump.
I'm going too fast, right?
I'm dancing over here.
That's the first.
The only other thing is that I did want you to know there's gonna be an enforcement aspect to this. Just like with everything else.
really?
Okay, so there will be a 3-month warning period for the yard waste.
Yeah,
Okay, 3-month warning
So
period.
it's a
for
3-month warning period for this.
Yard waste.
Oh,
3 months
Food
warranty.
scraps. Yard waste, 3-month warning period
So
for
it-
yard waste.
yeah, yard work.
Just up at the top, yeah, not the food scraps. Food scraps, on the other hand, mixed food scraps and garbage, spring 2025 is when we'll start issuing violations for that.
And the yard waste content,
I'll get back to you.
Okay.
So-
Yard
so
waste.
Yard waste, wait, back up a second. You say 3-month on the yard waste.
and
In
what's that?
3 months, where does the yard waste have to be? Either in these bins or in the clear
Yeah,
or in the paper bag,
it just needs to be set out separately from,
but not in a black bag.
no.
No, you have to follow the rules and
Right,
regulations.
no,
What does
no,
it,
because
in
a
the
friend of
brown bin,
mine,
the yard
her,
waste?
her neighbor
You could put it
just
in the
cleared a whole bunch of vines. They
Or
had,
you could put it
12
in a clear bag,
bags
or you can put it in a
of
paper
yard
one
waste.
bag.
but they were in black
You have
bags.
options for the yard waste.
So
But we're gonna give you 3 months before we start to issue violations for the yard waste.
So when you're going to notify all the homeowners and business people there? You're going to send out,
they go in the mail.
Flyers.
They send the flyers in the mail.
We've done a whole campaign around this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've done digital, we've
Yeah.
done print. I mean, it's pretty much everywhere. We're visiting every community board and we're sitting down with committees and we're going to general meetings to announce it. So everybody is well aware that this is happening,
Spread the word,
right?
people.
So the reason why I'm here tonight is to give you all like everything that you need to know and
Right.
to answer any questions. So like the enforcement aspect, I don't necessarily know that we're gonna be sending that out because that's not the main focus. The main focus is we want you to participate. I'm letting you guys know that in case if anybody was to ask, just so that you're aware. So there is gonna be a warning period for yard waste, which is gonna be 3 months. And then spring 2025 is when we'll begin issuing violations for mixed food scraps
Okay.
with regular garbage.
okay,
All right?
so you cannot mix food scrap with regular garbage.
Correct. It's gonna have to go out separately, for compost pickup on your recycling day. But food scraps have to be in a bin. Just remember that.
What, that going to be, that
When
will
did you-
pick up with, both with recycle and the
Recycling day.
unrecyclable day.
Yep.
But our recycling day and regular garbage pick up the same time sometimes.
Oh, yeah. But it's just different trucks that pick up. the-
Yes, I know that, yeah.
When did you say this was coming? When is it mandatory?
So October 6th is when we start the curb
Start
cut, right? 3 months, we're gonna give a 3-month warning period for yard waste.
So
Right.
begin the new year.
And then spring 2025 for
Okay.
food scraps mixed with regular garbage.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we had 2 questions, right? We had what happens on holidays with compost pickup and then how much will the fines
Yeah,
be?
just the fee.
Yeah,
How much will fines be? Okay. Got it. All right, moving on. And then Junior, this is the flyer that you were looking at, that you were just asking about. So I'll
Yes.
answer all of your questions with that now.
Okay.
So beginning on November 12th of this year,
Mhm,
all residential buildings with 1 to 9 units,
mhm.
as well as houses of worship, schools, city buildings, special use buildings, they're all going to be required to containerize their trash.
Okay.
You could use any bin of 55 gallons or less right now.
Mhm.
As long as it's 55 gallons or less and has a tight fitting lid, you're okay.
Okay.
Beginning in June of 2026, that's when you're required to have that official New York City bin.
Okay.
All right? As of right now, it's only trash that is required to be containerized.
Right.
Recyclables can go out in bags, although we encourage everyone to put all of their commodities out in bins.
Mhm.
This mandate only affects regular garbage right now.
Regular, okay.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha.
And just again, so that there's clarity, if you decide that you want to put your recyclables out in bags, you can after 8 o'clock.
That is January
Gotcha.
2026, right?
June.
June 2020.
June 2026.
Mhm. Okay, so as of June 2026, all are going to be required to use the official New York City bin. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but when you go onto the website, bins are available in 2 sizes. So that's going to be the 35 gallon and the 45 gallon. All right, they're about $50 each. The
But it's
35,
like, it's not 55?
no.
The
Right
law,
now,
the law is 55 or less,
Yeah.
but they're not selling a 55
They're
gallon.
selling 45,
correct, 35 and 45.
35 and 45.
They're about $50 each. The 35, I think, is a little less than 50 all in. The 45 is a little more than 50 all in. I want to say when I ordered mine, it was about 54 and change.
Okay.
But
Yeah, after Uncle Sam.
after all the fees included, so figure roughly $50.
No, it was after Uncle Sam because it's like free shipping.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah, I forget how to break down of it exactly. but-
You are buying these bins.
Mhm.
And they should be able to claim the tiny taxes?
Question, that's probably, I'm asking accountant, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't ask DSNY that. We got to ask the accountant in it.
Yeah, but maybe it would have some heads up with that, you know, that just,
No, I mean, yeah, that's something to ask the tax consultant.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically,
you have to buy
probably
it.
there would be some type of tax incentive, but I don't think you would get something from DSNY.
No, I don't say DSNY.
It would probably have to be one of them tax bills that's passed.
Mhm.
Okay.
You know, one of those, I mean, we can ask city council or something like that to include that,
Um,
a petition to include it.
yeah. There's a few things on this bin matter.
Okay.
Number one,
Mhm.
years ago, when they first started recycling,
Mhm.
what did New York City do? They gave out blue bins. You get a bin. New York City turned into Oprah. You get a bin, and you get a bin, and you get a bin.
Mhm.
Now that they're asking people to buy a bin. What happens if I buy a bin
So much.
and my next door neighbor goes and steals my bin?
What happened now?
And now I got no bin, and now I gotta wait 6 to 8 weeks for a new bin. But now my neighbor's got my bin.
What's it going to happen? People going to steal it.
So you should write your address on the
That
bin.
don't matter.
Well, that's what we recommend doing, but if it gets stolen, it's gonna be like any other piece of stolen property, so that'll have to be reported to NYPD.
I mean, you know,
It's
I,
so hard in the time of getting NYPD to show up
Yeah,
when they break into our cars
never mind.
for,
that piece.
for change that might be in a cup holder. They're not gonna show up to take
For a bin.
for a garbage bin.
I think one of the issues is, you know, I remember back in, I think it was like late 80s or no 90s when that blue bin was given to everyone, short blue bin.
Yes, I remember those bins.
And I think that's what happens when the system is not consistent. Because then you have that long window where we don't have to use blue bins anymore. We can buy our own blue bins. We can do what we want and we can use plastic.
Right.
And now the system is saying, okay, no, you have to buy bins. they're categorized or colorized.
Mhm.
And so now you're gonna have the little pushbacks like Debbie's on. It's
Absolutely.
like, what if somebody steals my bin? Well, what we did back then, you put your address on it.
Right.
I mean, neighborhoods have changed, so
It's
it doesn't mean
never
anything.
stop.
That's the problem. The only thing that I would ask
Mhm.
is, and I don't know if there's a way to do this, is if there's a way to see what addresses
Mhm.
have ordered and paid for theirs.
Yeah.
And if their bin gets stolen, if
And-
there's a way to call whatever number
Yeah.
and there's some type of spreadsheet to show, okay, yes, this homeowner paid and had a bin,
Okay.
and then we'll give one free, just because. But just, try to make sure that it's not stolen
Wendy.
again or whatever the case may be.
What I look into, the thing is, so for instance, you know how many houses are on the block,
Mhm.
and you can tell how many houses have bought the bins. So for instance, now if I say my house is 3250, and you come there, you don't see a bin, and 3240 never have a bin, and you see that bin at 3240, what happened?
Well, I
But then-
think,
It's also the issue of, all right, yeah, you got 10 houses on the block,
Yeah,
but house number one, you got a husband and wife couple. House number two, you got a widow.
yeah,
House number three, it's the Brady Bunch.
all right, yeah,
So the Brady Bunch is gonna maybe they should buy a couple of bins because everything's supposed to go in the bin.
yes.
But what happens if the Brady Bunch goes and steals the widow's bin? So, now the Brady Bunch
It's
got,
going to be a problem.
three or four bins,
Right.
and now the widow's out.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem with the bin.
Jeremy, you have a question?
Yeah, so I know that it's a really small meeting. So generally speaking, what's the issue with, like me talking, but just remember Dier's in the meeting too, and he's new. So he's maybe hasn't said anything. So maybe you want to call on him. Are you
He could raise
I
his
don't know
hand.
which part. I understand, but but I got lucky with Wendy seeing my hand. You understand? So
Yes, yeah,
Thanks for calling me and Jeremy. I appreciate it. I don't really have any questions at the moment other than I'm glad this is happening for the city as a person who believes in sustainability and really cutting down on the amount of waste that we're putting into landfills. I think that this is great. A lot of my schools participate in a lot of these sustainability initiatives. I do agree. I think it's going to be a lot of growing pains even in the building that I live in. It's 60 units, and a lot of people are just nervous about rats and how we're gonna mitigate some of the mice and maggots or roaches or all of those things. But I think in the long run, once we get through the frustrations of this being a new program and that it's a new program that people will hopefully eventually get used to, that it becomes a really great thing for the city and pioneering something that most cities could and should be doing. That's really all I got for now.
I appreciate that. And it's true. It's growing pains. I think that we started it many, many years ago,
Mhm.
and then it stopped.
yeah.
And now we have to be reintroduced to it. And with the addition of, rats and roaches, especially folks that, I mean, it's not even people that live in buildings, it's the homeowners as well. I mean, right now, we have a situation where rats are eating the wires of our cars, right? And we didn't have that
Because
problem.
well, that's because of the Con Ed, a lot of the Con Ed work.
Right, the disturbing of the earth and different, but again, this area is going to be developed more.
Mhm.
So, we should, try to talk about plan into action, on what we can do. I mean, again, it's growing pains and we have to go through it. It's changing. It's for the environment. My only thing is the added expense to that senior or that
Right.
homeowner
Right.
or that, who can't afford $54.
Right, that's what I was gonna
Right.
be also
It's kind
saying.
of hard for them in this day and age, right? $54 may not seem a
Especially-
lot.
Especially if they
But-
already bought a bin.
Do you know if there's a waiver
But not-
being offered for seniors? And I'm talking about, over the age of 65, 70, who are on fixed income?
So as of right now, there is no subsidy for anyone.
Okay.
Everyone is going to be required to purchase the bins at full price, but the bins are significantly less than if they were to be purchased at like a big retail store.
Okay.
Which
I beg to differ. Because I went with one of my friends who, when it was starting the stuff for the stores. It
yeah.
was back in March.
Mhm,
Went to Walmart, got 3 bins.
mhm.
They were only like $25, $25 or $29 a piece.
I don't know if we're comparing the same quality for 25.
Maybe not.
Because those things they're expensive. I bought
So
bins.
you're saying,
It me $60-something a piece.
so you're saying this is gonna be of quality that Johnny Sanitation's not gonna bust the bin?
That's going to be a quality where it's going to be made to be able to withstand a mechanical arm grabbing it and dumping it into the truck. Because that's ultimately the plan for the future. Come
Okay.
2026.
But
That's
like,
What happens if Johnny Sanitation breaks the bin?
So if you place a complaint about it, what'll happen is we're gonna do an investigation. Within that time frame, enforcement will be suspended at your location, and then we'll determine if we did. If you submit the evidence, if we did, then we'll get you a new bin.
Jeremy?
You won't be responsible for it.
Yeah, I just saw that Deer put in the chat
Yes,
about
yeah.
getting confused about I know in the past when we were doing the pilot program, when I spoke to Ignacio Terranova, if you knew who he was at all, I remember he told me that if you can rip it like paper, if it's a rippable thing, well, it's either compostable or recyclable. So is that true? Like, what's the good? How do you gauge what's actually compostable?
So, Mr. Terranova hasn't been with us in over 6 years, and
Yep.
again, the program has changed quite a bit. Just look at some of the recyclables that we take now that we didn't take in the past, like plastic clamshell containers. So we're constantly evolving, and we're constantly taking different materials that maybe we haven't in the past. I don't know if I would use the analogy if you could rip it, it's compostable or not. I mean, I personally would just. You can use this as a cheat sheet, it's right in front of you, right? So yard and leaf waste, right? Branches, twigs, leaves, grass, that's all compostable. Food scraps, so that's going to be whether it be a banana peel or bones or eggshells. That's all going to be compostable also. And then the food soil paper, and I know that we had touched on this a little bit earlier, but like the pizza box, if you find that there's a lot of grease in it and a lot of cheese in it, then put it out with the compost. If it's in good shape, put it out with your paper recycling. But we'll take coffee grinds, we'll take tea bags, anything essentially that's natural.
Okay.
Yeah, my only concern with that is the sticker is the same thing from 6 years ago. So it's not like it's helpful, but it's maybe not enough for people who like to try to recycle or compost everything.
Okay.
Like
You know what I mean?
a K-pod,
Mhm.
what, would that go in compost?
Is it empty?
No, it's got the grinds in it.
No, well, you could compost the contents and then recycle probably the plastic, right?
So that would be.
So what would I do with,
So that's plastic. I would, as Jeremy said, I would remove the grinds from it, put it with the compost, and the plastic should go.
so if I have a K-pod,
Mhm.
I don't even have a Keurig.
Mhm.
But say I have a K-pod, I now gotta separate my K-pod?
Yes.
So, it's funny that you asked this, because last time I was at CB11, I think an older woman had asked me about breadcrumbs and the container for breadcrumbs. This was years ago. This was probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
And it's the 4C one,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's got a metal bottom,
But it's paper.
but it's paper, and then it's got a plastic top.
Right.
Right? So then she's like, well, how do I get rid of this? So I'm like, well, technically, the answer is you're supposed to remove the paper
Yeah.
from the metal and the plastic. That is the official answer. So she obviously didn't like that response, right? She got upset about it because she said, whatever she said. But that is,
But they all go in the same plastic bag together now.
well, no, paper is supposed
Oh,
to,
yeah.
yeah, paper has to be separate from the metal, glass, and plastic.
Cynthia, you have your hand raised?
Hi, good evening, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, now I forgot what I was, now I remember. My experience with, sorry, can you see me? Hi, everyone.
I
My
don't want to wait,
experience,
you should be here.
whenever I've been in doubt, I actually call the local garage. They're like they've been super helpful to me. I call, I'll ask them a question like, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with that? And they're always there to answer questions. That's been my experience. Hope everyone else has the same. Thanks.
I mean, it'd be great if we all had the number, which I would love the number one. Number two, you know,
So you
John and Jane Smith don't have your number.
So if you go on the website, there's a feature that says, how do I get rid of? You type it in and it tells you exactly how you should set it out, what it goes out with. And that's something that we've had. for a
So
long time.
basically, but back to that K-pot, you're basically saying anybody with a K-pot now has to separate their K-pot?
Yes.
Well, that's always been the city,
Yeah.
you know?
They were just, people just throw the K-pot in the garbage.
Right, but that,
Yeah, that's
Right.
what some people do, but I would separate it. me
right,
personally.
that doesn't mean that that's the right way.
Right.
And I think we have,
Which is the reason why I don't have a K-pot,
right, I think we have to.
because of that
We
whole,
have to reprogram our mind and, take the extra step. What is it to actually tear the container and separate it? I
Right.
mean, it doesn't,
It's
I
a
think
thing.
there's a lot of things we need to stop complaining about versus just doing. Yes, it's gonna be rough to get used to it. My advice is, because everyone is gonna have these black bins and they're all gonna look the same, put your address on it.
Yep. I
In
agree.
white paint, put your address on it. Yes, this one container is not gonna last you 15 years. So, you may wanna buy a new container the next 5 years, within 5 years, so that you have multiple containers, so that you won't feel like when this one breaks, you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? We just gotta be proactive and think ahead.
Absolutely.
But I thank you.
Yes,
You have
thank
more?
you very much. Yeah, so I just wanted to touch real quick on what we're doing moving forward.
Yes.
So come June 2026, once we have the official New York City bin in use, trucks are going to be retrofitted with a tipper on the back. So what we'll be doing is we'll be collecting the cans with a mechanical tipper, which is going to dump the trash into the hopper. And the reason for that is it's going to avoid some of the spillage that ends up in the street, and then ultimately litter and trash along our curb lines. And just, kind of reiterate the reason why we're doing this. We're doing it for multiple reasons. One, trash is unsightly and it smells. It takes
Right.
up bags all over the sidewalk. It takes up a large footprint. And Wendy, as you had said, we do have an issue with rats here in the city. So rather than making it easy for them and having a rat buffet, they can just tear right through the bags.
Anyway, you're
Yeah,
helping the workers too, because some of them
yeah,
get
but
hurt
you're,
lifting those garbage.
Absolutely. It's
It's-
it is strenuous. You're out there on a
Yeah.
route, and speaking from in previous life as a sanitation worker,
Right.
some routes are 12, 13, 14, 15
Yes.
tons.
Because-
And here in the Bronx, sometimes they do multiple trucks,
Yes.
right? So it's taxing on the body. And
Yes, it does.
this will make it more efficient and
I
quicker.
started
and
for the
good.
guys.
but you're saying the bags take up a larger footprint.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree with you to an extent of my 90-unit building. But, well, no, you said the 90-unit building would be a different container.
Correct. Yeah.
But still, not, some of the small buildings that are up to 9 units, you can have at least 9 of these things.
Mhm.
Probably you might even, in a building like that, you might even need a few extra. So say 12 or so, 12 or 15.
Mhm.
To me, 12 or 15, that's already a large footprint in of itself. So, and that's gonna be there, that footprint's gonna be there 24/7, 365.
Well, hold on.
Versus the garbage, which only goes out on garbage day.
One thing to be aware of, those cans cannot be stored curbside. They need to be stored
On the property.
on the property.
Yes.
Yeah, but I would, like I said, I drive a school bus all over the Bronx.
Mhm.
And some of these small buildings that I've
Mhm.
seen that have already bought like about 10 bins,
Yeah.
just not NYC bins,
Mhm.
but they got 10 bins.
Yeah.
Because they got, I don't know how many units.
Mhm.
They got a chain to the building. So it's not at the curb, it's at the building, because there's nowhere else to keep it.
At the building is fine. So it could be stored in the back, it could be stored inside, or it could be stored in front. But if it's stored in front, it's got to be up against the building line. You
Not on
can't,
the sidewalk.
you can't impede pedestrian traffic. It needs to be kept neat and orderly.
Right,
If they're overflowing or they're making a mess.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying, that's now a footprint that's at the building 24/7, 365, having these bins at the building.
I
But
understand.
I think the supers would know, if you have a large enough buildings, the supers need to know
Yeah,
what to do and, as far as putting it out, where to place it.
yes.
Management should be able to.
I know
you
around here, a
instruct
lot of the
that.
supers are just,
But I think this is gonna cause management to step up to the plate and really educate their supers, because there's hefty fines. So, and, a lot of these landlords cannot afford an extra $300 or $500. And then they'll try to attach it onto the super to say, okay, well, you didn't do X, Y, Z. So I just think it's gonna force folks to kind of step up. My only concern, and then we'll move on, is, people like to put a lot in the bins. So it's like, don't make it too heavy,
Mhm.
because even though it's now a machine,
Mhm.
anyway, you don't want it to pop. And I'm not saying that it could, but we tend to overstuff.
Right.
And so I think that's when we need to be realistic to say, okay, how much garbage do we really put out in a week? We may need 2 bins as opposed to 1 bin, just keeping it, correct.
Absolutely.
So I want to say thank you, Mr. Caruso, for coming by
My pleasure.
and just giving
It's
us
been a
this
pleasure, sir.
information.
Yes, thank you.
This is much needed. I actually wanted to talk about this last week
Mhm.
because I had got the flyer in the mail during the summer.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay, this is real. This is happening again. And now you mentioned the compost thing, so I'm like, okay,
That's good.
that's good. So thank you for coming,
Thank you
and please
very
come
much.
back.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. And just so everyone knows, if anybody has any questions after the fact,
Mm-hmm.
by all means, please reach out.
Will
You
do.
have my contact information, so if you need clarity on anything,
Just call me.
I'm more than happy to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Okay.
I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
So we answered a lot of questions. We had discussion. Anyone from online gallery wish to say anything?
Ephraim, did you want to speak?
Nope.
No? Okay, so we're gonna move on to committee chair elections. So as you know, our chair for sanitation had stepped down, so we have to select new chair and vice chair.
So,
Okay.
what
So
do you have in mind?
who do you have in mind, Junior?
You're here.
So you are officially say.
All right, so you have to nominate me.
I nominate Wendy
Okay, and I
Yes.
accept.
as sanitation chair.
I accept. And so as for my co-chair, I would like to elect Junior. And he has graciously said yes. Junior, it's you and I. So there you have it. So I will be your chair for sanitation and Junior will be my vice.
Okay.
Okay, we have no motions. Is there any old business?
Alternate side downgrading.
It is.
I know,
Want to.
yeah, you,
Oh,
It's old
that's not-
business.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so what has to happen in that case is,
because, the backstory of stuff, like over by the Morris Park train station, Lilac Avenue, Bogart,
Mhm.
that area,
Wendy.
you got 2 days and 2 days. But one block the other way, you have no days.
Mhm.
During the pandemic, it showed you can go 1 and 1, because on the opposite side
Mhm.
of the Parkway,
Yeah,
you have one and one. You know, by the blind school, by Columbus, you have, I think it's Wednesday and Thursday or Thursday and Friday.
okay,
But on this side of the Parkway, you got Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Mhm.
So we want to downgrade it to 2 days, one and one.
so there's a process for that. The community board is gonna have to write a letter of support that you are requesting less alternate side parking on these specific blocks. You have to be very specific with it, list the exact locations, and then essentially what we'll do is we'll look to see if you possibly qualify. I'm not sure off the top of my head what the exact criteria for it would be, but, you have to have a particular scorecard rating over a certain number. It might be like over 90 something, over a particular amount of time. So if that is the case, then you might qualify. So we'll take a look at it and we'll see what can be done. But
That's
bless you.
Bless you.
I never recommend asking for reduced service, but if that's something that the community board feels would be better for constituents, then it is your right to support that. So that's how we would start. We'd start with the letter of support.
Yeah, because I'm not saying to abolish it,
Mhm.
you know, but you buy key food and all, by all means, keep the 4 days.
Mhm.
But more towards the residential, you don't need usually the 4 days.
So just keep in mind, the onus is on the property owners and the business owners. So mechanical broom service is supplemental. So if there's reduced mechanical broom service and we come around with enforcement or the district officers and they find litter along the curb lines after the reduced service, there might be an increase in the amount of fines. Not saying we're gonna blitz the area, but just saying that residents are then gonna be expected to take a step up because the onus does fall on them. So just keep that in mind also when you advocate for this.
Yeah, 'cause I'll speak to a few of the neighbors and whatnot that have been asking how to. I mean, right now, we might be wise to wait until Con Ed's done tearing up the place. But, people do want to downgrade it because they showed during the pandemic when it was reduced
Mhm.
due to the pandemic, that people kept it clean. They kept it decent.
Yeah, so if this is something the community board wants, send a letter of support over to me and then I'll make sure that it gets to the right office.
Jeremy,
Question.
go ahead. Oh, hold on, Junior, like Jeremy
Yeah.
has.
Oh,
Go ahead.
So if you don't mind, sorry, I might be in a bad reception area soon. Before the other thing too, is I think, I don't know if Mr. Crusoe would agree, but we would also, the community board office has a great relationship with the superintendent. And generally speaking, he could advise us on whether that's feasible or not. I mean, Mr. Crusoe, what's your thoughts on that?
Yep, so a request like that is not gonna be determined at the local level. So what'll happen is it'll go right to the top, our cleaning operations office. And they're responsible ultimately for all the cleaning across the city and allocation of resources and whatnot. So they would absolutely take the opinion of the district officers as well as the borough level, so local level management, into consideration when making the final decision. But yeah, I mean, we could absolutely bring a local district superintendent to the conversation just to get his opinion on it, also to see what he says about the area and maybe what he's seen, as far as trends go over the past few years. It's always good to have the input of those that are actually the boots on the ground.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that he would obviously, make that decision. I'm just saying, why waste your time downtown if it's probably really not feasible? If we can have a conversation with him first, that
Mhm.
where he could point out maybe something we're not aware of. That's all I'm saying.
you're right.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, we could absolutely bring him into the conversation first if that's what you want to do before you kick up to me.
That's a good point, Jeremy.
Yeah, we don't have to do that, but I'm just saying I think it'd be prudent on our part to do so. That's all.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
On Pembroke Avenue
Mhm.
and East Gully Road.
Mhm.
Before they have that bus lane,
Mhm.
they always have these parking meters. Who in charge of those parking meters?
Parking meter is going to be DOT.
DOT.
Mhm.
Because what happened, they put one on the residential street on Pembroke,
Mhm.
and that it's there. So I wonder why they put that one parking meter on a residential street.
Good question.
You know, most of the shops are asking me why they put it there. And in front of the store,
Mhm.
no, it's a no parking area. We have the bus lane. But on 10 Brock
Mhm.
and East Gunner Road, they have a parking meter there. I just can't.
Maybe that's something that I can send. I don't know, Jeremy, maybe I can send an email to DOT.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're DOT.
For the meters, right?
But don't quote me on that. It's not
No,
my
that's,
area.
I don't know. That's why I had.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
I can send an email, Jeremy, to and CCing you and Cynthia on it. Just asking what the purpose of putting the meter there
On a residential street.
on a residential street.
One meter. Meter was before the stores and before that, before they changed to a bus lane.
Mhm.
But they take away all the meters from in front of the store, and that one still remain
Mhm.
on 10 Brook Avenue.
Just to see if there's any plans to do anything that we don't know about.
So
Well,
that's all like
Jeremy-
a DOT issue, right? We're talking about.
Right.
Or Jeremy, if you have the time,
Oh,
maybe
you're
on
talking about
Thursday.
AutoZone?
No, maybe if you have the time on Thursday, you could come by me and then we could walk and show you what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
okay.
very
That's a
good.
deal. All right, thanks.
I'll call you in the morning.
Okay, thanks. Thursday. All right.
All right, so that takes care of old business. There's no new business, right? I'm all about getting out of here before 8 o'clock. It's 7:59. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank
We will
you.
see you next month.
And
Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to
Meeting
myself or
adjourned.
Jeremy. And that's it. Have a good night, everyone.
meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned at 7:59. Good night.
Night.
Good night, Jeremy.